Okay, let's continue. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. And certainly we have honored the children of Adam alayhi salam. In the previous ayat, what did we learn? About Iblis. And how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He gave preference to Adam alayhi salam, Iblis was not willing to accept that. His ego came in. He wasn't willing to prostrate to Adam and accept his superiority over himself. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions as to how people are ungrateful. That despite the fact that Allah has given so much to people, generally the behavior of people is of extreme ingratitude. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions more of His blessings upon people. That وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. كَرَّمْنَا, كَرَّمَ يُكَرِّمُ تَكْرِيم, is to treat, is to honor someone, is to deal with someone in a very noble way, in a very respectful way, and it is also to be extremely generous towards someone. So وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا, and you see كَرَّمْنَا, this shows mubalagha. Then أَكْرَمْنَا. أَكْرَمْنَا would also give the same meaning, but كَرَّمْنَا, it shows mubalagha. That we have honored. Who? The children of Adam alayhi salam. Meaning the human beings in general have been given preference. Over who? Over the rest of the creation. Regardless of whether people are righteous or they're wicked, they're obedient to Allah or they're disobedient to Allah, they're muttaqi or they're fajir, regardless of how they are spiritually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given preference to human beings over the other creatures. How? In various ways. وَحَمَلْنَاهُمْ, and we have carried them. حَمَلْنَا from the word haml. And haml is to carry, to take the load, to bear. So حَمَلْنَاهُمْ, we carry them فِي الْبَرِّ, in the land, وَالْبَحْرِ, and the sea. In other words, we make them travel. How? On land and also on sea. That when they're traveling, they don't always travel by foot. But what happens? For example, on land, they ride various animals. Similarly, various vehicles. And on sea, again, they don't swim across like the other creatures have to. But what do? They just go sit comfortably in a ship, in a boat, and that's it. They go from one place to the other. حَمَلْنَاهُمْ, we carry them on land and also on sea. They don't have to go by foot. They don't have to swim themselves all the way. But rather they have been provided with various means of transportation. وَرَزَقْنَاهُمْ, and we have also provided them مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ, of the good things. Meaning, of various good things, which they eat, which they wear, which they use. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided various types of tayyibat to the human beings. And if you compare the food that human beings have, that human beings enjoy, compared to the food that other creatures enjoy, it's of a greater variety. It's of much better nutrition as well. وَرَزَقْنَاهُمْ مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ. And if you look at it, the kind of food that human beings eat, it's much more clean, isn't it? Compared to the food that other creatures eat. When you eat something, you wash it, you cut it properly. It has to look nice. If it's meat, there must be no blood. Similarly, if it's vegetables, they're cut very nicely. And you eat that food which is good. And other creatures, they will eat decayed plants. Similarly, the jinn, they will eat bones. Other creatures also, they will eat various types of things. But human beings, the kind of food that we eat, it is cleaner. It is more nutritious. It is of a greater variety. From fish to most exotic foods, vegetables and fruits to herbs. وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ, and we have preferred them عَلَى كَثِيرٍ, upon much, مِمَّنْ, from those who خَلَقْنَا, we have created تَفْضِيلًا, a definite preference. We have preferred them over much of our creation. We have preferred human beings over much of our creation. Most of our creation. So we see in this ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions how He has honored human beings over the other creation. Over here, some things are mentioned. And what are they? That first of all, in this ayah, وَحَمَلْنَاهُمْ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ. Then, وَرَزَقْنَاهُمْ مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ. And then, وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. And there are many other ways in which human beings have been preferred over the rest of the creation. That first of all, in their surah, in their appearance. And surah is from Sad. Okay, not seen. Seen is surah, like Surah Al-Quran. Okay? But this is surah. Sawwara, yusawwiru, tasweer. In physical form, in features, human beings have been given preference over the rest of the creation. How? That human beings, they have hands and they have feet. They stand upright. Their height, their size is very moderate. Isn't it so? Like, for example, if you compare human beings to some other creatures, for instance, snakes, their entire body is touching the ground. But human beings, Allah has honored the human being how? That it's only his feet that touch the ground. His head is up. His hands are up. His back is straight. Similarly, other creatures, like for example, livestock. Their bodies are constantly bent. They cannot stand upright. But human beings, this is very noble that they're made to stand upright. Because when you're constantly bending, it's a sign of extreme humility. Similarly, if you look at the size of the human beings, it's very moderate. They're not very tiny like the size of ants, or like the size of cats, or rats, or other insects and other creatures. Similarly, they're not as huge as giraffes or as elephants, right? The size is very moderate, which enables them to benefit from everything that is in this world. Isn't it so? Like, for example, elephants and giraffes, because of their huge size, they're unable to, or camels even, they're unable to access many things. Similarly, creatures that are very small, even they're unable to access many things. But human beings, because of their moderate size, they're able to access everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have created man in the best stature. Similarly, we see that human beings, they walk upright on their 2 feet and they eat with their hands. Whereas other living creatures, many of them, they walk on their 4s, and how do they eat? With their mouths. So this is takreem, this is honor for the human beings, that they eat with their hands. Secondly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also given preference to human beings, how? By the aql, by the intellect that human beings have been bestowed with. Human beings have the ability to think, they have the ability to analyze, to rationalize. They have hearing, they have sight, they have a heart that functions, that enables them to comprehend, that enables them to remember, to take lessons, to examine, to reflect, to understand, and that enables them to distinguish between what is good and what is harmful. The other creatures as well, they may have eyes which may be sharper than ours. They may have ears which may be more sensitive than ours. They may have hearts which may be stronger than ours. However, they don't have aql. They do not have comprehension. Or if they do have comprehension, if they do have some kind of understanding, it's limited. It is of a very limited capacity. They can be taught many things, animals. They can be trained. However, the rate at which human beings learn, or the variety of things that human beings can learn, the other animals cannot. Or every other creature cannot. Whereas we see that the majority of the human beings, they have aql. Thirdly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also bestowed human beings ilm, knowledge, which has not been given to the rest of the creatures. And in this knowledge is the knowledge of who? Of the deen. If you see, the last messenger was from among who? Human beings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not even send an angel or a jinn. Who was he? Human being. And we see that Adam a.s. was given knowledge, and upon that the angels were made to prostrate to Adam a.s. And amongst the angels was also Iblis, jinn. So because of knowledge, human beings have been given preference. If you look at it, sometimes I wonder, people who believe in things such as evolution, and they only believe in that survival of the fittest, the one that is the most fit can only survive. If you look at it, human being is one of the weakest creatures on the earth. Isn't it? Because a human being is born without any clothes. If he is exposed to too much heat, he can die. If he is exposed to too much cold, he can die. Whereas the other creatures, in whatever circumstances they're born in, they're physically equipped to deal with it. Isn't it so? But human beings are not. Similarly, we see that the human infant is the weakest. The human child is the weakest. Other creatures, as soon as they're born, within hours, they can start walking. Isn't it? Within hours, they can start running. Within days, they are almost adults. They're able to eat themselves. They're able to hunt themselves. They can survive on their own, even without their parents. But human beings are the weakest. But still we see that the weakest of all creation has survived the most. Has excelled the most. You don't see any other creature, any other kind of species, excelling the way human beings are excelling. They don't have universities, they don't have businesses, they don't have anything of that sort. But human beings do. Isn't that enough to make a person understand that there's someone else who has given this preference to human beings over the other creatures? That the human beings are the weakest, the most vulnerable. But we see that they're the most dominant. Why? Because of the aql that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given. Because of the tamyiz, the able to distinguish between what is good and what is harmful. Because of the knowledge that Allah has given to human beings. Similarly, Allah has given preference to human beings how? With the ability to speak, nutq, speech. That other creatures also, they're able to express themselves. However, human beings are able to speak and communicate in a way that is much more extensive and better compared to how other creatures communicate with one another. Similarly, human beings have been given preference in another way as well. And what is that? That when they die, when human beings die, what are we supposed to do? Give them a bath and then bury them. Obviously, believers. But other creatures, when they die, there's no ghusl, there's no salatul janazah, and many times there's no tadfeen even. Because such dead animals, they only become food for other creatures. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given honor to human beings in many ways. And one more way is their dominance over the rest of the creatures. That human beings are able to tame many animals. They can take advantage from many various types of creatures. But other creatures cannot do the same with human beings. And over here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. That human beings have been given preference over many of the creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now there is a question. This preference that Allah has given to human beings, is it conditional or is it absolute? Is it absolute that regardless of who a human being is, however he is, how righteous, how wicked, he is better than every other creature? Or is it with a condition only? You see, in certain ways, this tafdeel is absolute. How? That just because a human being disbelieves in Allah does not mean that he will not have aql, he will not have ilm, he will not be able to speak, he will not be able to walk, his physical form will be deformed. No. He will still be better in the tangible sense compared to who? Compared to, for example, other animals. However, in other ways, a human being is better than other creatures when he meets a certain condition. And what is that condition? Of iman and amal salih. We learn in Surah Al-Bayyinah, ayah number 7, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ أُولَئِكَ هُمْ خَيْرُ الْبَرِيَّةِ. That indeed those people who have believed and who do righteous deeds, they are the best of creatures. The best of creatures. So what does it show? that when a human being believes and does righteousness, then he is even better than an angel. He is better than angels even. Why? How? Because the human being is then believing in Allah and worshipping Him out of his choice. Out of his choice. But the angels, yes, they are very obedient to Allah, but they don't have a choice. So there is no struggle, there is no test, there is no difficulty. But for the human being, it's very difficult. So when he worships Allah, when he does righteousness, then his status is higher than that of the angels. And we see that it's because of this reason, Adam a.s., when he was given knowledge, what happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the angels prostrate to Adam, to show that he is better than you. But on the other hand, those people who do not even recognize Allah, who do not even acknowledge that Allah is their creator, He is their provider. And as a result of that, they don't thank Him. They don't pray to Him. They're not grateful for so many blessings that He has given them. Then what happens? Then such creatures, such people, they're worse than all other creation. In Surah Al-Bayyinah, ayah number 6, we learn, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمَ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أُولَئِكَ هُمْ شَرُّ الْبَرِيَّةِ. Those who disbelieve, what's their status? That they are the worst of creation. And if you remember the ayah in Surah Al-A'raf, that those people who have hearts, but with them they do not understand, they have eyes, but with them they don't see, and they have ears with which they do not listen, meaning they don't use these abilities to reason, they don't use these abilities to recognize Allah, to worship Him, to thank Him, to do with them what He is pleased with, then such people are كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ. They are like grazing livestock, but rather they are worse. So what does it show? That if a person believes, if a person is grateful, if a person is obedient, then he is excellent, most excellent. But if a person does not do that, then he is the worst of creatures. Why? Because we learned earlier, وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا يُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِهِ. Every single thing is glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if the table before us, if the pen in our hand, if the food that we eat, the clothes that we wear, if they are glorifying Allah, if they are obedient to Allah, and we are wasting our time chatting away about useless things, then who is better? Think about it, who is better? The thing that is inanimate or the thing that is animate? The thing that is non-living or the living? Obviously the thing that is non-living. Why? Because in whatever capacity that it has been given, what is it doing? It's glorifying Allah. It's worshipping Allah. And if despite having intellect, despite having reason, if we don't worship Allah, if we don't thank Him, then we are the worst of all creatures. Recitation.
وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَحَمَلْنَاهُمْ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ ورزقناهم من الطيبات وفضلناهم على كثير ممن خلقنا تفضيلا.
And you see, when a person is obedient, the more obedient he becomes, the more he excels in his righteousness, the more higher is his status. Because even amongst human beings there are various levels. Even amongst the righteous, there are various levels. One level is of just a Muslim. Another is of a mu'min. Another is of a muttaqi. Another is of a muhsin. And then it goes higher and higher. Then come the messengers. The salihin, the shuhada, siddiqeen, right? Anbiya. There are different levels. So the more a person increases in his obedience, the higher his level is. And the higher his rank is in righteousness, the higher his rank will be where? In paradise. Recitation.
وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَحَمَلْنَاهُمْ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ وَرَزَقْنَاهُم مِّنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَىٰ كَثِيرٍ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا